Welcome back to the Finding Flow podcast. I just want to take a quick second to thank our sponsors, the Infloww Wellness Academy, located in Plymouth, Michigan. They offer some amazing services that can help you better achieve these states of flow by optimizing your health and your wellness. Their services include personal training for general population, for athletes, for just about anybody. They offer pain modalities like massage therapy, laser therapy, yoga, durability classes, and they're experts in nutrition and supplementation. So if you're really looking to take your health and your body and your wellness to the next level, that's the place to be. That's the place to seek out. You can find them at inflowacademy.com. You can find them on Facebook and YouTube at Infloww Wellness Academy and on Instagram at Infloww Academy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling.
Everything changes.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Finding Flow podcast. Kevin Lowers alongside the great and powerful Benjamin Knapp. What's up, brother?
One and only. Nothing, man. How you doing?
Good, man.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, man. Another week off to a good start.
Yeah.
Best part of it all is that we're supposed to be covered in snow. All the schools were canceled at 9 p.m. last night, and it still isn't snowing, and it is 10:30 a.m.
Either I think most people, like on a day like that, like on a snow day, you know, I challenge like my daughter with this all the time. I'm like, when you get a day off of school, especially if it's unplanned, I'm like, that's like a gift of like 8 hours. Like it's 8 hours that now like life just gave back to you. What are you going to do? It's almost like instead of it being a 168-hour week, now it's a 176-hour week. You know, I'm like, how are you going to spend your time? What are you going to do? Like, you got to get pumped up about moments like this. And of course, they're just like, what?
I mean, what I used to do is I would just sleep till like noon,
yeah,
and play like video games.
Well, I think about like how many. There's probably had to have been a lot of adults today that took the day off with anticipating. I think they did a. You know, I watched the news this morning to track the storm, and that's what they said. They did a poll of, you know, what will do during the storm? Will you go into work late? Will you work from home, or will you take the day off? Like 81% of the people said they take the day off.
Dude, it's bonkers to me, because we were kind of talking about this when you got in this morning. Like, just 10 or so years ago, 15 years ago when I was a kid, like, this didn't exist. Like, there was no cold days. Like, we didn't just they were like, oh, it's going to be too cold out. No school. Or I remember getting like 2 feet of snow and then just sitting there looking at that scroll down screen on my TV to see if, like, you know, Livonia Public was going to come on there. And it wouldn't. And it wouldn't. And then I just remember like having to just like pull up my trousers and trek through like mountains of snow, and I would just get to school, and it was just normal. Like, I mean, we'd have to get like 3 feet of snow before they were like, It's a wrap. And I don't think in my whole childhood there was ever a time when they called it the night before based on like projections.
The anticipation.
Yeah, like projections. You know, like I was, and it was hilarious because this morning, you know, I didn't really look at like when it was supposed to start. I just knew there was this big storm. Right before I went to bed, I saw the email from my son's school that he didn't have school. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna get smashed tonight. That's where my head's at. So get up early. You know, I'm getting all ready. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pop outside. Hadn't looked outside yet. Like, I was up for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and go to, like, outside ready to, like, shovel and do this, and then there's no snow.
I love it.
And then we get in here, dude, and there's still no snow.
I thought it would be.
Easton will be getting out of school in 15 minutes.
I know. It's what do you think about, like, predictability? Like I always, especially on a day like today, I'm like, you want to get a job. You want to be, like, get the best job in the world you could possibly get. It's a weatherman. Like, how can you go wrong being a weatherman? You can be wrong every time, and they're like, see you tomorrow. You know, they're smiling, they're laughing. They don't lose their jobs. It's not like they say, dude, you better get this one right. Like, if you don't fucking pick this storm the right way, you're gone. Like, I got to get somebody in here that can actually read the Doppler.
Raise the stakes.
Yeah, like, we're up to Doppler like 27,000, and you still can't tell me what time the snow's going to hit? Like, you're gone, bro. So my thing is, like, what about being a weatherman where, because it's so unpredictable, like, you can't even predict the weather. What if they, like, were more entertaining? Like, if they wrapped the weather, you know, or they did, like, a weather off.
You ever watch Family Guy?
No.
Oh man,
I'm too busy. Like,
I know.
I'm levitating and shit,
bro,
man.
But if you ever want to just, if you ever just want to mindlessly laugh your ass off, that and like South Park are the greatest shows to do that too. But they have this guy named Ollie the weatherman, and it just like every time it cuts to him, he's like really short, like, so it'll be like, now Ollie with the weather, and he'll just go, it's gonna rain, and then it'll cut right back, or it'll be like it's real windy, and it'll be like blowing away, and then it'll cut back. It's hilarious, but
it does sound funny.
It's pretty much like where we're at with weather. It's like, why are you making it intricate? Like, for what we do know, we also don't. I mean, the amount of days where they're like, it's going to be freezing, and then it's like 75. You're like, you fucking liars. You guys out to get us? But yeah, predictability, man. I mean, I think there's something to predicting and planning, but also, I guess, in the context of weather and most things, like having a plan B, you know, or thinking about like the potential for it to not work out, right?
I was laughing. I was laughing because last night Renee says, which is my wife, she says, well, we should probably be focused on like, she goes, maybe we should bring some extra blankets and some extra water, you know, just in case. And I'm like, where am I going? Like, even if I broke down on the side of the road, like I could, like I'm on a major mile marker, like I could be at an Embassy Suites within like 15 minutes trek, you know.
And we're projected to
what
get
do I need the blanket for?
We're like if your heat, you know, breaks down and you're stuck out there.
Yeah.
You know, hey, she's just looking out for you.
Yeah, but I'm not traveling to like, you know, Idaho.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like with a CB, right?
Where you
Hey,
can
breaker,
yeah.
man. Is there anybody out there?
You're just
Anyone?
trapped in the middle of nowhere with no one driving by for
Dude,
hours.
If I got Wi-Fi, like that's my blanket. Like, hey, Ma, can you come pick me up?
It's one of those things. It's funny because we're projected to get like 12 inches of snow. Like it's not, you know, like when like there's always like one place in the United States I feel like where like you'll just hop on the news during winter time and they're like they got 18 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Like you can't even like it's up to the top of their doors. Like
everybody's gone.
Listen, I get it. Like if you don't want to leave your house and there's 18 feet of snow, I'm on your side.
Don't.
Because you probably can't. Physically, like you physically cannot. Like,
I can't open my door.
Yeah, you need a monster truck, and even then, you might still be getting stuck. You know, but yeah, it was. I was just laughing my ass off on the drive-in because I'm just thinking about all these people that took work off. Schools, all the schools are canceled, and I mean, there's this. The roads are dry, not a lick of snow falling down.
Dude, I even went to Home Depot, and I don't know what it is. Like, I know it can't be great for my hands or the environment, but I'm like, I'm gonna get some. I didn't have any like salt for my driveway. But then they had a separate pallet called sodium chloride. And that was like triple price. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm getting that. Like, that's what I got. And then I went outside last night and I was putting down the preventative layer of sodium chloride to prepare for this onslaught of snow that we're going to get.
An overly salted driveway.
I thought it was incredible. I thought it was important that we got this podcast in because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
We might not even make it out of this room.
This could be it.
Like the snow might actually break down this building, and we might get trapped in here. Did you bring those blankets?
You know, we'll just roll up this carpet and kind of burrito ourselves in the carpet.
This is like the coldest room in the whole fucking building, too. It's always like freezing.
So everybody else out there would be warm. We would die in here.
Our gym's radiators will kick up. It'll be like 95 in there. She's sweating.
Yeah, I love it. I love, you know, because really, what can you even like predict anything? Like is like what? Like, how about this? What is safe to predict? Like, what can you predict today that you can say in the next 10 years or in the next 5 years or in the next, you know, like what can you predict about like where the world's going to go, goal setting, you know, weight loss scales? Like, can you do it anymore?
Yes and no. I mean, to like predict something with the expectation to be fully accurate, delusion. You know, I think that's a form of delusion. But to predict things and get somewhere close, you know, I think that's a good move. You know, but again, we live in this culture of like very obsessive, like, you know, this side or that side. Mm-hmm. So if somebody like predicts something and it's not like 100% accurate, get ready for the onslaught because people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
You know, where in reality, I think predictability is only like it's only partial in most things. I mean, I'm trying to think about something that is 100% predictable.
I don't know. It's made me think a lot. Like, have you read the book? What do they call it? Smarter, Faster, or Bigger, Faster, Smarter, or something like that.
Bigger, Faster, Stronger.
No, it's but it's smarter. It's like
it's the same one. It's the same guy that wrote the Power of Habit, right?
Yeah. Duhigg, Charles.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I remember you were reading it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It just talks about, you know, again, it's like. You know, again, the human mind has limited capacity. So if let's say I have $0 and I say in 15 years I want $5 million, you know, that's like the mind it doesn't work really good with computing that, right? But it's important that you still have, and you've referred to them a lot, like having this major stretched out, like very, again, like I want to be president. Like what would be so wrong with wanting to be president and falling just short of that goal, but being like an industry leader or becoming a pastor or becoming, inventing an amazing like wellness app or something. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with falling short of like extreme stretch goals, but what the book talked about was, you have a stretch goal, but then you have to bring it all the way back down to like the smart stuff. So, okay, so if $5 million is our goal, well, like how much money could I save in a week if I don't get Tim Hortons coffee? Right? So all of a sudden now I'm maybe saving $15 a week, which is $60 a month, which is $720 a year, which is $7,200 over 10 years, So, all right, well, let me find 15 other ways that I can save $15 a week
it's
or
kind
a
of fun
month
when
or
you do
whatever.
it that way.
It is fun. But kind of like our weather, like I know that personally speaking, because we talked about, like on our last podcast, we talked about like life's lateralizations. In other words, like how things aren't as simple as that. Like save $15 a week, you have $60 a month. That's why we use like meditation, love, just having joy in your day. And those are supposed to help us predict an outcome, right? But how would you measure a stretch goal if I just said I want to love more? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think it goes back to what we talked about last podcast, like trying to measure the immeasurable. Like, I think it's just a good thing to put in your brain because it's going to like force you to think about it. At least if you say you wake up and you read something regarding like loving more every day, and that's like your ultimate stretch goal. Like I think every day, like maybe you'll be a little more compassionate, a little bit nicer, and it's kind of hard to see where that needle's going. But I think it's a globally agreed upon good trait to have. But yeah, there's no way to measure that.
Yeah, I think I like it. I have a lot of fun with. I don't know if you do it a lot. I have a lot of fun with goal setting because it's fun. It's kind of like when you sit around with friends and you talk about what if I won the lottery.
Yeah,
like that's a fucking fun thing to talk about. And
then you get the asshole that's like, it's not fucking realistic, 0% chance. You always get that guy.
Absolutely,
always
the guy that tells you why it's not going to work.
Yeah. It's like, man, like, don't you just like to explore ideas even if they're fucking crazy?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun.
How many people have lost the ability to fantasize?
100%.
I think like our parents sometimes are, or maybe that generation. I just refer to my parent because I know them. But it's like, I get from her, and I don't have to worry. She's not listening to this. I wish you would, though, Ma. I wish you'd listen to this. But, she's just like, as long as I have, my shelter and my children, I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I would want that too. I'd want to be loved. I'd want to have shelter especially from the blizzard we're about to get today. But I'm like, well, but Mom, like, can't you fantasize about like, and maybe I'll meet a man that's wealthy and I'll travel the world. And she's like, that ship sailed. It's like, and that sucks. Like, that sucks to have endless possibilities when you are, predicting a stretch outcome, and people are unwilling to do it. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe they've been slapped down by life too many times, and it's just easier for them to recluse into, like, harsh realities. Like, I've been a big advocate on this podcast talking about, like, being pragmatic first, which I agree with still. Like, back to, like, the smart aspect of it, like, doing the little things every day, like, being practical, being logical, following that first, because most of the time that's going to be like the rational idea, and that's what's going to either like keep you out of trouble or move you in the right direction. But like once you get really good at that, and you get really good at the practical components of life that embody like a successful life, right? Like you take care of your health, like you're nice to people, all these general things. Then it's like start becoming a little more like exploratory and curious and imaginative with what life could possibly throw your way, But yeah, I don't know. Maybe people are just beaten down too much, and that's why they recluse. Because I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, I just want a roof over my head, and I want my kids to be healthy and happy. I'm like, well, of course.
Next.
Nobody's going to be like,
nobody's going to say, I don't want that.
I don't want a roof over my kid's head, and I hope they're unhealthy.
Yeah, let's see what I'm made of. Get my kids sick.
Yeah, it's like, well, duh, but like, what else?
Yeah.
And I think I'm the same way as you, man. Like I've been again, since having like my son and getting smacked in the face with like how the world really works and how I was disillusioned through like my childhood, like most kids are, like when you go through the conventional education system, like it's all this weird game where you're just like passing tests and getting grades and moving on to the next course content and then doing that for like 18 years, even into college, like potentially 20, 21 years before you're thrust into the world and have to deal with like real responsibility. I mean, if you will. I guess there's responsibility in like studying and passing tests and doing your homework, but I'd say that's very trivial. Like the repercussions and stakes really aren't that high. You know what I mean? Versus like not making enough money to feed your fucking kid. A little higher stakes. But I've been a big fan of goal setting, and I want to say it's the compound effect. Well, Darren Hardy, I believe, where he kind of chronicles, it's something that I've used that I've really enjoyed from like a goal setting perspective, which is kind of take that stretch goal, right? Like take your 10 goal or 10-year lifetime goal and then basically extrapolate it and work backwards, right? So then you think like, okay, if this is where I want to be in 10 years, like what do I got to do in the next 5 years to set myself up to like potentially achieve that? And then you write that down and then you go, okay, what do I need to do in the next year or the next 2 years to get to where I want to go in the next 5? And then what do I got to do in the next, month or 6 months, down to the month, down to the week, down to the day, down to the hour. So you can basically extrapolate this all the way back. I mean, I think it can breed a little bit of neuroticism. Like if you really go like, because there was a period where I was like really dialed into it, and I'd say from a productive standpoint, unbelievable. I mean, like if you're just kind of that type A, you just want to succeed. Obviously, like me and you have talked about this both on our own time and on the podcast. Like we're both a little spiritually enthralled, and like we love the idea of chilling. I like what Gary V stands for, but I don't want to be Gary V. Like I don't want to always be in that mode. Like I just don't like that. I think that can be damaging as well. But yeah, it's very effective in like kind of peeling it all the way back. Like what should I do today to influence what I need to accomplish this week, what I need to accomplish this month, this year, this next 5 years, 10 years, and into a lifetime. And it kind of keeps you down that roadmap. And then again, you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon. I think you're doing pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I always find it interesting, like when, again, you have like that, I won $100 million lottery, the first guy that's going to jump up and say, yeah, well, they take $70 million of it off the top for taxes. And I'm like, well, then can I just jerk off about my $30 million? Yeah, like, is that fun? Can
I be excited, or should I focus on how depressed I am that they took 70, despite the fact that I just won 30?
You're still plus 30, bro?
Yeah, shitting on a good time.
So what does that say about it? See, to me, it says a lot. Like, even if I'm doing it as like, like pretend being their therapist. Like, if you don't have the capacity to fantasize about something futuristic, no matter how far-fetched it is, what does it say about your day? Do you think that it says everything about their day?
I think it says a lot about it.
Yeah.
I think it just says a lot about like where they are psychologically at that current point of their life. I mean, like, and again, you repress it from like childhood, right? Like, I mean, that's what our education system does. Not to bash on it anymore because we just smashed the last podcast, but like it just annihilates like curiosity and creativity and imagination. So you get shit out the other end. It's like, oh, I just got to find a 9 to 5. I got to pay off my student loans. I got to raise a family. I got to pay taxes. And it's like I know I've been a victim of that, like that thinking of just like oh, the whole system's shit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is like you got to manifest that stuff in. Like you got to be willing to think about it in order to achieve it. Yeah. So I think the people that are kind of just like aggressive towards that idea are potentially stagnant in their life or are just unhappy. Because I think happy people, by and large, like are more imaginative. Like they can see potential futures and things like that, right? It's something that keeps me happy. Like
I know.
If you just took my life for where it is right now, like it's pretty good. But there's definitely a lot of parts that I want to improve upon. Like, and what brings me joy is like the thought of like all the habits I've cultivated and how they're going to lead me into a better life every day, every hour, every minute. Expanding upon that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I love I love taking it from like the smart stuff, like you said. Well, what have you accomplished today? And I'm like, well, I feel like a lot. You know what I mean? I feel like I kick ass on my Mondays. It's like even if it's a little extra hydration, a little extra movement, and actually sitting there and being present for the wife and daughter before they go off. Like that's something that you can't normally do on a regular work day. Like I'm up and gone before they did. So, but when I think about, well, I want my daughter to, I want her to have a deep moral code. I'd love for her to be an entrepreneur. I'd love for her to try to create her own path and things of that nature. I'm hoping that my investment in her present will help her achieve her stretch goals, again, because you need support. Just as simple as, again, nobody talks about like supporting an entrepreneur, and how that could potentially have a profound effect on either way. Like imagine somebody with this grand idea, but then everybody telling them like you need to stop this dreaming. You need to get a job. So it's like I want to make sure that I'm like a support group for anybody that has these dreams. You've got the rational mind and the emotional mind. So the emotional mind's like yeah man, you can do anything that you want, but that same emotional mind is like, dude, that is way too big. Like you just need to bring that down, and you need to be realistic, But then there's you want to sprinkle in some like rational behavior, like on the latter side of that, like anything is still possible. Like there are many opportunities for miracles, whatever you want to call them, to still occur in somebody's life. But you got to make sure that, again, on the smart level, being positive, being joyous, and being present with every day, like. If you're too busy bitching, will you even be cognizant enough to know when somebody's knocking on your front door? Will you even be aware enough to know that an opportunity is presenting itself in front of you? So it's like goal setting. Is it a myth or is it required? Is manifestation manifestation obviously can't be real if there's no imagination. Like, well, what would you be manifesting? Like, how are you determining like where the $5 million is going to come from, or where this new infrastructure is going to be like built from? Like, you can't have anything that you can't imagine.
Yeah, manifestation doesn't exist without imagination.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, it's I was going to say something, and it just eluded me right when I said that about manifestation and imagination being kind of like two peas in a pod. But yeah, you definitely get in your own way when you're constantly like bombarding your own brain with negative emotions. I mean, it's interesting, man. It's funny. I was thinking about this too. Like, I have some goals from like 5-6 years ago. Like when I first, I was about 19 when I had my kid, and that was when I first kind of started reading and thinking and realizing like I'm kind of an idiot, and I need to figure this out so I can like provide for my family. And I just, I read a couple self-help books and got crazy ambitious. So like one of my goals is like to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25, like to have $1 million. How
much time you got?
I got about 23 days.
23 days? Okay. All right, let's see what we can do.
But my point was going to be like, obviously like the financial, like it's not a very good like measurement goal to where I've come. Like, because like that original goal stemmed out of like me just developing myself more and more and more. And I'd say over the last 5 years, I've done an exceptional job, at least I think I have, in developing myself, developing my mind. I've read hundreds of books. I've journaled for the last 4 years, nearly every single day. I dominate like my health, my mornings. Granted, there's always other places that I'm not that great at. Sometimes I still snooze. That's something I would like to eventually crush. But it's funny, thinking like I'm nowhere near that financial goal. But like if I was to measure up to like what I wanted to accomplish in these last 5 years, I think I did a pretty damn good job. And the money just doesn't show for it. And again, we joke about it all the time. Like we know a lot of really stupid people that have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So like, making money isn't always correlated with intelligence, right? So just kind of disregarding that, it's funny how that goal, despite being so far fucking off from it, has like developed me into the person I want to be. Like I think I have a millionaire mind now. Like I really do. I really think I have the mind that could handle that money. Like if that money came in, like whereas at 19 I was just like vomiting on a page like I'm gonna be a millionaire by the time I'm fucking 25. I didn't even know what that meant. Right. I didn't even understand money yet. Like I didn't understand how much money that actually is. I mean, I'm like happy if I have $1 million when I retire. I'm crushing. You know what I mean? Like, I could invest that.
With today's mind.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I could invest that, live off the dividends for the rest of my life. Like, $1 million is a fuck ton of money. Whereas, like, when I was 19, I was like, that's just what I got to make every year to live the life I want to live. Now I'm like, oh, I make $60,000 a year. I'm good. It'll cater all my needs that I find important. Which it took me from 19 to 25 to shut out a lot of shit that is not important to me now that I once thought was important, right? That was very trivial. You know, I think I've boiled it down through that goal setting to what is important to me. And like, if I did get $1 million tomorrow, like, I would be really intelligent with it.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like, when you, and I think you each, you know, moments or days or whatever, you can have a shift. Like, today is one of those days where I've been thinking a lot about, like, more stretch goals. Like, I've spent it, and I get so excited about it. But, you know, what I've also found is, this is a quick left turn, like, when you focus on stretch goals, you know, there can be heartache. There can be a lot of heartache when you get really, really close. Like, I had a business deal go all the way to the blueprints and to a pitch in front of the money guys, and it was like over a $4 million deal. And then I just get a call like 3 days later and said, yeah, we decided not to do it, you know. So that was like, I fell hard, you know, like, it hurt. Like, I cried, you know, because I built it out. Like, I saw the team members. I saw the joy on people's faces. I saw, you know, the long days, and I was excited about it, you know. But what I am finding, though, is it only ramps me up for the next one. Like, I'm no longer, after I kind of got over, like, dealing with not failure, but postponement of the dreams, I found that it just made them a little juicier, and it made them a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Because now I found things that were wrong with that plan. I'm like, that might not have been the best way to go about that. So it's like but today's one of those days where I think about long-term and stretch ideas and just the amazingness that can come from it, just based on who I am today and based on the things that are important to me today and the priorities that I have set forth in my life for today. So all of my dreams and my values today's values are going to be built into this stretch goal. But I also know that there's still humans. You know, humans are unpredictable. That, you know, economies are unpredictable, things of that nature. But, like, I don't feel like I suffer anymore. I don't feel like I suffer from when things aren't going exactly like they should, because now I'm trusting that, you know, like, you know, when you are ready for a teacher, one will appear. But, you know, sometimes I like to believe that wealth is just waiting for you to be ready for it. You know, and so, like, I really get encouraged by just like being pretty darn good each and every day. And, you know, so, you know, we deal with a lot of people on a daily basis that they have goals, but they really just don't know how to set them out. They really don't know how to build out, you know, the I want to lose 50-pound goal, or, you know, I want to have a healthier knee goal. I think so. As much as I know that goals can shape shift, I know that your mind is always going to be different and will always have a way of whether it's redefining wealth or maybe changing the business model. But I still think that what we can do on a day-to-day basis is still extremely important. You know, kind of like, again, winning your morning, getting hydrated, having positive affirmations, making sure you pack in your bags every day your fear blockers and your, you know, self-loathing, you know, stop, you know, blockers, or like stop cards, if you will, because I don't have time for that. I don't have time for self-mutilation. I don't have time for reminding myself of how stretchy my stretch goals are. So,
yeah, I mean, any goal, like stretch or short term, like, it has to start with each and every moment, right? I mean, that's like the essence of just life, is like dominating the present moment, which is the hardest thing ever, and it's only become more difficult as technology has advanced, right? Because there's just more and more distractions, and I think you're right with people setting goals. You know, it's so hard to, you know, like, say you want to lose 100 pounds, like depending on how overweight you are, but like losing 100 pounds in a year is feasible. I mean, like, if you're really disciplined, but like just thinking about anything, like, you know, let's take right now, right? It's January 2019. Thinking about anything in 2020 is like kind of like, it's really hard to like
far.
Perceptualize and like think like again, like my movement practice has been a great indicator of this, and I've recently reached some really cool milestones that like I didn't really even plan to hit any time soon, and all of a sudden it just kind of all came together, and I'm doing some like pike handstand presses with control. I did not ever expect that. I'm only like 6 to 8 months into my practice, but kind of thinking about like in a year from now, like if I was able to accomplish this in this amount of time, in a year from now, like what can I do? And this goes back to the imagination aspect of it. But again, the only way that like I get to do what I want to do a year from now is if I show up every single solitary day. So just taking advantage. Guy I follow on Instagram kind of always talks about this, like utilizing every minute. Again, with like specific to my practice, like any minute I get, like you always see me, I'm stretching, I'm moving, I'm inverting. I'm just trying to accumulate time under tension in these things that are going to move me towards my goal, right? Like every time you get in the car, turn on your damn audiobook. Turn on a podcast, learn something, Anytime you're at home watching TV, like get on the ground, move your hips a little bit, like breathe, stretch, if you're at the office, like get up every 25 minutes and like go for a walk, clear your mind, juggle some balls, like do something to like take your brain away from that and refocusing it on something else, because all those little micro minutes add up, man. And again, with my movement practice, that's literally why I'm accomplishing things faster than I thought, because I wasn't accounting for the extra hour to 2 hours of work I get incrementally through a day, right? I was only constituting my progress on like the scheduled training session that's going to last an hour. So all that little stuff that you do in the moment each and every day will propel you forward into those more, stretch goals, long goals. But yeah, I think sitting down with yourself and really being objective and thinking like, do I win each day? And even more importantly, what constitutes a win? Right, this is something I personally have struggled with tremendously. It's like even if I have a really good day, there's always that little part of me that's like you could have done more, and really trying to temper that and then realize like maybe you could have, but like this is great. Like this is a great day, or like maybe having metrics to kind of say like, okay, if I get these done, it's a good day, and that it's as simple as that. Like if I get up and I exercise for 20 minutes, that's already a win. Because that's 20 minutes more than I did before. I'm actually exercising for once, So like you could have that's what I love about training, right? Like you could have a really shitty day and have a good training session and get to the end of your day and be like, I salvaged it. I salvaged it a little bit. So kind of having these I guess key performance indicators, if you will, for a day to day. Like if you wrote that blog, you say you make a list, right? Tomorrow I want to, these are my 3 top priorities, and these are the 3 that if I get to, I'll be pumped, but aren't that necessary. And you get through that day and you finish, the 3 main ones, but not the other ones. Like that's a great fucking day. Oh, yeah. And like don't shit on it. Don't be the guy that says, oh, well, they're going to take 70 million of it, even though you're getting 30. You know what I mean? Like you're getting the 30 million, and that's 30 million more than you had the day before. Like you're moving the needle in the right direction. Kind of back to that rule of 168, like one of our first podcasts, like are you like, is half of that time being spent doing productive things, sleeping, preparing food, eating healthy, exercising, going for walks, meditating, having wonderful conversations, and kind of doing that on a day-to-day, I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, I want to, I think, I know you and I have this podcast just as a way of just having a nice conversation. And I think we're both, hoping, with an audience that we're giving some people some food for thought. And I did want to make sure that I if anybody gives a crap about the way I approach my life and how it maybe can help positively influence theirs and impact their future, I still think as much as, like big stretch goals are subject to change, I'd like to see people getting more involved with doing really very simple things. I think I read, I want to look it up, but it was a Buddha quote. And he said something about, let me see if I have it. I think I have it right here. Yes. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Okay? Basically, if anything is worth doing, do it with all your heart. And so I think I'd like to see people have a winning attitude, but I want to see them have a winning attitude on Monday, and I want to see them have a winning attitude on Tuesday. And I'd like to see some people play around with a little bit of some stretch goals are really, really fun, but also making sure that we develop the path by that we have to pass through to cultivate the mind and the human that has the capacity to even deal with these large stretch goals. And I think there's a lot that come from, again, for me, making my bed every day is not a priority because I'm out of bed first, right? So it's not even on my radar.
Same.
So if you said that I'm not very good at, making my bed in the morning, like, I would agree with you, but those aren't my goals. Right? That wasn't my smart goal. That was, so I had to just follow my own, like what makes me get up and be excited for a day. So I just like for people to kind of like challenge themselves and make some of these charts and write in pencil, because you're allowed to change them. You're allowed to erase and start over. But it's a really neat drill. It's a really neat drill. Like, if I had a perfect day, what would I have accomplished? And if I had 100 perfect days in a row, what might I accomplish? And then if I had 10,000 really good days in a row, what might I accomplish? And I think it's a great value system. It's not about what we didn't do. It's about what we do. Sometimes just writing up the goal is a win, because if you didn't write a goal sheet yesterday, then you're already a step in the right direction. So I've also found that I get a lot of these ideas from not so much like business leaders, but what I've mentioned a lot in the past is some people that I admire. I think we admire a lot of the same people, some of our authors and some of the leaders in our industry and things like that. And I've never met a man, and that's XYZ, that can be man or female, male or female, that first of all hasn't been through shit. And something great came from it. I've never met anybody that hasn't been through extremely difficult times and how they were the catalyst for creating the new and the next great thing in their lives. But also, these people are very open to, I guess we'll call it coincidence. They're very open to life ebbs and flows, and those are. That has probably been the biggest takeaway from me is finding joy even in a day that we didn't accomplish all of our little SMART goals, and kind of like the Buddha said, live only for now, live only for the present. And so these are fun things. So the goal setting is not to create anxiety. It's not to scale who we are against, again, kind of like that self-concept of who we want to be. It just it gives, it's supposed to be a reason to be more excellent in the moment, to be more excellent in a conversation, and be more present and more aware of each and every day. So
I think it pulls awareness to like where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And I think if you don't, it's one of those, common sayings, like if you don't create a plan, someone's going to create it for you, So like, be in charge of like where you want to go, and at least, write it down, put it in paper. So you have that guide, that roadmap to kind of at least base your day off of. And then again, I think it's important to know, like, and be okay with the speed bumps that are going to undoubtedly come along the way, right?
For sure.
So yeah, I think we got to wrap this up because we got to get out of here. Go check out some cool new stuff.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, dude, I think it's that's what I was gonna say. Tim Ferriss, right, has done an exceptional job with his podcast and his books, interviewing like his whole podcast is premised on, interviewing the highest performers in whatever industry they're in, athletes, Fortune 500 CEOs, entrepreneurs, like all these different people. And he basically, after interviewing hundreds and hundreds of people, can extrapolate like the habits that they almost all universally have, and that is like planning, like goal setting, that is getting up in the morning and winning their mornings and, taking care of their health and, not neglecting their family, so there's all these basic principles that damn near every successful person abides by. Again, success in my eyes, which is beyond just wealth, right? Like you're a good person too on top of that. So again, I think like assessing and objectifying your own life and thinking like, well, do I do these things? Like the things that, again, back to measuring, like the things that are pretty common across the board of successful, happy people. Like, am I doing these things? And start there, and then start doing that things and see what works for you. See what like after you do it. Like if you get up and you meditate and you feel great after, like boom, you're in. If you get up and you meditate and you just feel the same, then maybe like, you know, transcendental meditation isn't for you. Maybe journaling is going to be a better option. Like I'm not a big fan of transcendental meditation. I don't know if I've given it enough time, but I would prefer to like just vomit my mind into paper for 10, 15 minutes, right? So I think starting there is a great start. And then again, giving yourself like wiggle room, right? Like if you don't hit you write 50 goals down and you don't hit them all in a day, like chill, bro. If you got 3 of them done, you did something, you know, be satisfied with that. And then just look to get better the next day and the next day and the next day. And it's Darren Hardy's compounding effect. You win one day, you win 1 week, then you win the month, and then it gets easier and you develop habits around these powerful things. And eventually, before you know it, you've manifested your stretch goal.
I love to see people, hopefully try it. Like write it out. And, you know, I've got probably 100 different stretch and smart goals in every different notebook I've ever written, and it's always different. I want people to get focused. I want people to get focused on the day. I want people to get focused on winning the day, and I want people to be extremely like fantasy and massively over consumed in the future successes that you're going to have, and don't be afraid to put them on paper. Don't be afraid to put these massive goals on paper because you just never know.
Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, take a big deep breath in, and if you stand up on your legs, express some gratitude because you have legs. If you're breathing, think about this. If you don't have a stuffy nose, like you never think about how great it is to breathe through your nose until you can't do it.
So you have a sinus infection.
And when your nose is stuffed up, like you're just sitting there hoping that you can one day breathe through your nose again. But when you are breathing through your nose, you never stop and think, God, I love being able to breathe through my nose. At least I don't. And now I've had a couple colds, and I'm like, I always try to remind myself of how grateful I am to be able to breathe well. You know, so there's always like these very simple things you can express gratitude in that can start to kind of kickstart your day. Like just having another day above ground, man. Like be like you're alive. Like do something. Do something with your life, right? And that's a great, powerful way to start your day, and then go from there.
I'd love to get some feedback on that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So
goal setting, myth, or what could it be if it's not a myth?
I mean, I think it goes back to like if there's even one person out there that has been influenced by goal setting, then don't discount it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's where my mind's going with damn near everything now. Like, stop shitting on things because you don't understand them. Like, be open to them first.
You know, and I know we're gonna kill it, but man, it's like it's so easy to vibrate towards those positive people. You know, it's like it's so easy to listen to them speak on a podcast and stuff like that. So they're like my shamans, and they don't even know it. So I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for people that give us that spoon feeding of win the day, be joyous in all things, and again, it's like if I can just be happy in every single day, like will I actually give a fuck at whether or not I can predict my future? Because at least I know I'll be happy.
No, you're winning the moments, and that's more important than thinking about your future. It really is. Like if you're happy in each and every moment, which obviously is pretty much impossible, but if you're thinking about being happy in each and every moment, you're way ahead of the game. And I think if you boil it down to this, we'll leave them with this: it is 100% better to be a happy person than to not be a happy person.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Like, you become a happy person, whatever you got to do to get to that point. I don't know what it is. Everybody ticks differently, right? You are going to attract more shit or more good shit, right? And if you walk around and you just always shit on your boss and you talk about how much you hate your job and how you're poor and how you can barely pay your bills and how you feel like shit, like, guess what? You're gonna be attracting shit. Yeah. And it's just as simple as that. So whatever you got to do to try to make yourself happy, I mean, it's so simple, right? That's where you want to be. So that's what you got to shoot for. And again, you got to figure out through trial and error what kind of things will actually kickstart your engine and keep it running for long periods of time. But yeah, start with exercise. Yep. I guarantee it will help.
And win.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Anything else you want to finish with?
No. just until we see them next time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we are going to be consistent here. We are already on a roll. We're producing some great content for you guys. We're trying to get it done ahead of time. So, if there's a little delay in the posting of these podcasts, that is why, because we have to kind of cram it in because we got pretty busy schedules. But again, check us out, inflowwellnessacademy.com. Coach Ben Knapp on Instagram, Coach Kev Movement MVMT on Instagram. And shoot us some questions, leave us a review. We'd appreciate all the feedback. And take it easy, Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Just want to give a quick shout to our sponsor, the Infloww Wellness Academy, located in Plymouth, Michigan. Make sure you check them out at inflowacademy.com, on Facebook and YouTube at Infloww Wellness Academy, and Instagram at Infloww Academy. Mention that you're a listener of the Finding Flow podcast and receive some awesome discounts on our exceptional services over at the Infloww Wellness Academy. These services include personal training through semi-private and private. We offer yoga, massage therapy, laser therapy, group classes, just about anything you need to optimize your life. We'll guide you through nutrition. We'll guide you through supplementation. We'll help you build a strong mind and help you achieve a better state of flow on the day-to-day basis. So make sure you check them out. And once again, thanks for tuning in to the Finding Flow podcast.